Hi, my name's Beth Rowlands. I'm Head of Talent and Skills for Fujitsu in the UK. I just wanted to say a few words really about digital delivery and the importance that it plays in our business, and certainly how we deliver any training interventions or any people interventions really. We've been delivering everything digitally really since the start of lockdown. And what we've learned very quickly is there is a very unique set of skills that you need to really make your digital delivery a truly engaging experience. I guess at the start we kind of thought, well, there can't be that much you need to know, right, about Zoom. You can learn as you go, you can pick the skills up over time, and that's probably true. However, if you really want to accelerate your learning and you want to make the most of Zoom or Teams or all the plethora of different tools that are available to you, and really hone your craft, then I would really suggest investing in some personal development for yourself. As I now regularly buy in this market, and I'm looking for trainers that can deliver superbly and get a superbly engaging experience really. And I think I've got, as a buyer, a bit savvier as kind of time has gone on, and really I'm clear now on what I'm looking for. So I think it's super important to spend some time on your own personal investment and in upping your game in how you can take the day-to-day training that you deliver and really make it fit for purpose via an online environment, whichever one you happen to choose.
So right at the beginning of lockdown, we were facing a dilemma. One of our most valued clients had asked us to provide them with a suite of virtual learning materials to support their staff through the whole lockdown experience. I've never trained in a virtual classroom environment, nor had anyone else in our organisation, and never even been on a webinar as a speaker. So this was a really scary experience, but we didn't want to let our client down. So we came across this virtual skills programme and we ran it for our organisation, and it gave us not only the confidence but also the skills to translate our virtual or into a virtual learning process all of the face-to-face materials that we've been so far running up until then. In terms of the impact on our business, well, we've kept going all the way through lockdown. We haven't needed to furlough any of our team, and we've not only been able to satisfy that client's demands, we've been able to also win new work, and we turned our offering from a face-to-face offering into a virtual learning offering, expanding our repertoire and really enjoying it as well. So the impact's been fantastic.
When lockdown started back in March this year, it was a really interesting challenge to start thinking about how I'm going to pivot my business, because one of the biggest challenges, of course, is the fact that we were so restricted in what we could do. So having more impact and being able to still support my clients was absolutely paramount to me. I've had my business for 10 years and always done a lot of my work through my coaching, mentoring and leadership programs has been done face-to-face, like most of us. And this for me was a massive departure to change it all. So one of the big areas for me was really important for me was to invest in myself and start learning about how to use virtual technology and how to use Zoom, Teams and so on to be able to do that. I've loosely used Teams and Skype before, but never ever used Zoom before. So the impact that's had has been absolutely massive and all positive. And I feel we've really got to climb mountains this year to pivot businesses and become more agile and innovative about the way we deliver things. So understanding how to use it and the functionality that sits there and all those opportunities has just been absolutely amazing. And I've really enjoyed learning about it. The impact's been just phenomenal for me. And it's really, I feel like it's really setting my business up to take it forward into 2021 and beyond. And it's opened up my world. The physical world's changed, but my global reach now is just huge. So I'm really thankful that I've had that opportunity to be able to really get to grips with how to use all this virtual technology. So it's been excellent. As Angie, Evolution of Business.
Okay, welcome everybody to our Dial-Up Digital Taster webinar. So good to have you guys with us today. Really appreciate you investing an hour's time with us to dial up your digital online delivery and also learn a bit more about our program as well. We'll be together for the next hour, and we are recording this session today as well. So the recording will be made available to you guys in case there's anybody who can't attend the session today or you would like to share it with anybody else. Let's go into some introductions then. So fantastic. My name is Erica Farmer. I'm the founder and director of Welcome to Learning Limited. I've been facilitating online learning since 2014, and I live in the West Country with my two pugs, Pepper and Daisy. I'm now going to hand you over to Sam for an introduction.
Yes, thank you, Erica. My name's Sam Sloan. I'm from Manchester, so a little bit further north than Erica, and I've got a corporate background, ex-Barclays, ex-retail manager, etc. But I've been in the online space now, developing online learning, online sessions, etc., online content for around about the last 10 years. Also been an L&D for around about the last 14, 15 years as well. And my passion is aviation. I'll just hand over to Hayley to introduce herself.
Brilliant. Thanks, Sam. Thanks, Erica. Yeah, so hi, welcome everyone. I hope you have a lovely afternoon today with us, and hopefully we'll keep it nice and busy and engaging and interesting for you. So yeah, my name's Hayley Bird. My role in L&D, I've been in L&D for about 10 years, and I've kind of honed in on the online skills and mastering this craft really for the last 3 years. So pre-COVID started to think about ways that I could use virtual delivery in a slightly different way. So hopefully we'll be able to share some of that with you today. I live down in Exeter, so not far from Erica, only about 15 minutes up the road, although we could be any distance from anyone at the moment, couldn't we? We're not seeing lots of people. And I've got a young family here at home, so I've got a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old who keep me on my toes and keep me busy. So there's a little bit there about me as well. So I'm going to take you through just the beginning of our session. Now, obviously, with three different ladies from 3 different businesses. So Erica, Sam and I have met and developed a really good working relationship over the last year, but also prior to that, actually, we started to do a bit of work together, but more so when we're looking at ways of collaborating in this virtual space. So Erica and Sam have met again with a real passion and joined up thinking when it comes to online learning. Erica and I worked together many moons ago and have kind of come back together to see how we can be really powerful really as a 3. So what you get with the 3 of us, I suppose, and the reason that we've decided to come together is because we bring actually a really diverse range of skills. We come from different backgrounds, we come with different experience, we come with a different angle, I suppose, in the online space. So we just thought, well, imagine if we could come together and develop something which is really quite unique because it's got a real diverse range of thought that's gone into it, and that's what you'll see and what you'll feel, I hope, as you go through the next hour with us today. So that's how we've come together there. I'm going to take you through the tools as well, because obviously I hope you're not thinking to be presented to for the next hour. That just doesn't happen in our webinars. So there needs to be loads of different ways for you guys to communicate. So I'm going to take you through some of those tools very briefly now. And please don't fret, because we'll be reminding you of where to access these throughout the session as well if needed. But just very quickly, because there is a larger number on the call and we haven't got much time, we're going to divert questions, comments, anything you want to say to the chat box. Now, don't feel that they're going to get lost in there, because we meticulously go through and make sure that we don't miss anything. So if I'm presenting, or Erica or Sam, the others will be in there keeping a really close eye on that. So we're going to just keep ourselves on mute for the session today. Feel free to share your camera. It's nice to see some faces there as well. So it's always nice to see people the other end, but we'll keep those cameras on mute just to divert some of the questions there. And you can do that on the little icons in your black toolbar at the bottom there to the left-hand side. So we're also going to be using some more interactive tools. So you may have one of 2 versions of Zoom at the moment. Erica, I can see has put your thumb up there, which is brilliant. You'll have one of 2 versions. You'll either have some nice reactions here in that black toolbar at the bottom of your screen. So you can click on reactions, you can give us a thumbs up, a smiley face, a clap hands, a nice heart, whatever you like to do. But do share those if they are in that black toolbar, and it'll be nice to see some people playing around with those as well. Thanks, Alison. I can see your thumbs gone up there. Brilliant stuff. So the other thing that you can access if they're not in there, which looking by the number of responses, I'm thinking maybe some of you might have this in the participants tab. So the other thing you can do is open up that participants tab, which is also on the bottom of your screen. And at the bottom of the participants tab, you'll see some of the reactions icons in there. So you should be able to give us a thumbs up in there, or a green tick, or a red cross throughout the session as well. So do have a little play around there with the different reactions, and we'll be using those throughout the session as well. Okay, so we're also going to be using chat. You guys are already in there. It's good to see so many people coming in saying hi, letting us know where you're from. It's so great to be able to connect people from all over the country. One of the many benefits of connecting online and getting together. I can see some comments coming in there. So again, say hi in there if you haven't already. Let us know where you're from. Tell us a bit about yourselves, and we'll be keeping that chat going a lot throughout the session. And that's just in the black toolbar as well, which should sit there at the bottom of your screen. You can minimize it if it's getting in your way. The other thing we're going to be doing is annotating, and this is the one that that brings quite a lot of fun to the session, and hopefully will bring a different dimension today for you. So to access your annotation toolbar, at the top of the screen you'll be able to see a green bar that says you're viewing Sam Sloan's screen, and just next to that, if you click view options and click on annotate, that'll open up this annotation toolbar for you. Now you can decorate the slides, it doesn't matter, we can clear them away if we need to, but do interact, really challenge yourself, just have a little play. You can draw a nice little picture. You can also write onto the screen. So the one that you can see at the moment is highlighting the draw tool, so feel free to grab the draw tool and draw us some nice little pictures. I'll draw us a nice little face there to get us started. That's my freehand drawing, nice little heart on the screen there. You can also text, so you can grab the T tool for text, and we're going to be using that as well today. Just click on the screen, a little text box will appear. You can type anything you want into that, and then press and then click away somewhere else on the screen, and that text box will disappear, and whatever you've written should come up nice and clear for us to see. So I've just popped my name on there. Liking this, Angela, I can see your comment there as well. Brilliant stuff. This is only just the start, Angela, so we'll be playing around, as you can imagine, with lots of different tools today. So you can text, you can draw, you can stamp, and we're going to have a little play around with that in the course of the session today. You can change your colour, you can undo things that you've typed, you can clear and delete what you've put on the screen. Just play with it as we go, and please don't worry about anything like spelling mistakes, writing on top of each other. All of that stuff just doesn't matter. Just treat it like a flip chart and pen, and we'll be in the background making sure that it's all where it needs to be. Erica's putting some nice little hearts there as well at the top. We like the stamps as well. Okay, brilliant. So we're going to have plenty of opportunity to use this, guys, but just for a bit of fun as well, you can see there's a world map on the screen now. Let us know the first place you would love to visit as and when we can. Where's your favourite place in the world? So you can draw on here with your draw tools, you can type your name on if you want to, or you can use the stamps. The stamps are brilliant for this because they allow you to really pinpoint different parts of the screen. So let us know where do you want to go, when we can travel again and get on the flights again, where do we want to go? So just have a little play around with that and let us know on the map where you might choose to visit when lockdown is lifted one day. It's nice to dream, and it's nice to see so many people going a bit further afield as well. Maxine, you've gone up into Scotland there. Good stuff. Okay. And just have a think about what's driving you there. What is it about that place that you want to get to so much? Erica's put a sandy beach one day. Here's hoping. One that's further than our doorstep. Brilliant. Okay, so just to see family, Maxine, I know. I tell you, my stamp would be pretty close to home too at the moment. Challenging my geography now, Alison. Don't worry, I'm not going to be testing anyone. Unless people have ended up in the middle of the ocean, I wouldn't even challenge that, wherever you want to go. Brilliant stuff. Okay, so we're going to move on from this now. There'll be, as I keep saying, lots of times to practice and play around with this, but I'm conscious of time. So I'm going to pass you over to Erica now, who's going to take you through the agenda for the session and what we're going to cover.
Yeah, thanks, Hayley. So yeah, really for the next part of the hour, we're going to really take you through a virtual learning journey. And in my last kind of 20 years of corporate learning and development, working with some of the UK's biggest brands like British Gas and LV and Specsavers and Virgin, I think I've probably learnt more in the last 18 months from a digital L&D perspective than actually 20 years of corporate L&D. But actually, I think what we've realised is the most important thing in your online learning is it's different to the in-person space, and that's really crystallized for a lot of people this year. So we're going to reflect on the impact of 2020 and of course now in 2021 and what that has meant for digital learning, because I know for a lot of organizations it's kind of been on the agenda somewhere for the last maybe 5-10 years. We talk about blended learning quite a lot, but actually, you know, we've really moved heaven and earth over the last 18 months. So we're going to share some insight and get your insight for that as well. That coupled with mindsets towards virtual learning, we firmly believe it is as good as, if not better than, the in-person space. All controversial statement alert, but actually we believe that it can, from an engagement perspective, you can really manage the individual and the group in a lot more specific way, which there accelerates engagement, accelerates interaction, accelerates recall, and of course progress for the individual with their new skills. Opportunities to reflect on the challenges of implementing that virtual learning. We're really interested to understand what your innovations have been over the last year, and do share those with us, and how you can lead the way in that digital transformation in your organization. So this isn't about just rocking up and delivering. This is around thinking around engagement, teams, senior leadership teams, workforce planning, talent. This is the whole shebang when it comes to HR if you get it right. And we're working with lots of different clients at the moment with upskilling their sales team to sell on online, or their SLT to engage and inspire the rest of the organization. So this is an L&D thing initially, but also it's an organizational thing as well. Then we'd like to tell you a little bit about Dial-Up Digital and really what's in it for you. Give you some more information. We'll be sharing the course brochure with you as well, and some further information and any next steps if you are interested in learning more. So let's get into our first exercise. We are going to bring up a video whiteboard for you, and what we'd like to do is understand what are you most interested in finding out for today. So what are the things that you would like to really get out of today's session? It might be something really simple in terms of how do I do this on Zoom or Teams, or it might be something a lot more strategical, a lot bigger based on your organization. So go and get your text tool for me. That's the one with the T on the Annotation Toolbar, and yeah, let's have a look at what we'd like to what we can support you guys with today. Fabulous. Here we go, guys. No such thing as a silly comment, silly question. Let's get them onto the whiteboard. Okay, so utilizing rooms on Zoom and Teams. Yeah, we've now got, of course, breakouts in Teams. Works very familiar than it does to Zoom. We're not going to be putting you into breakouts today, but it's certainly something we do cover on Dial-Up Digital. Different ways of making training interactive. Yeah, interactivity and engagement is the absolute king when it comes to online learning. It's not about running a 6-hour session and sticking them into breakouts every now and again. It's around that regular interaction that we're going to be talking to you guys and having you interact with us in the session today. Ideas to help with interactions and team events. Yeah, that's exactly what we're about, all of that stuff. What other thoughts have we got? Here we go. Using multiple screens, especially when demonstrating a procedure. Yeah, if you're facilitating online, minimum 2 screens connected, because, you know, actually you need to be having your slides up, you need to be having your process up, or your Word docs, or whatever it might be. You're also managing the chat box, you're managing the participants box. Of course, on Teams, you've got your conversation pane and your emoticons and everything else as well. Developing confidence with technology and understanding more of what can be done to create engaging sessions. We're certainly going to be talking and showing you that and getting you guys really engaged with that. Maintaining engagement for longer periods, structure additional tools, quizzes, polls. Yeah, we're going to cover all that today. and increase engagement as organisations continue to operate virtually. Yeah, Dita, I think that's a great shout. We're not just going to ping back, are we, to how it used to be? Sometimes I feel we've hit the ceiling for doing things online. The only limitation in the online space is your own creativity. That's the challenge that we'll give you guys. We'll throw that out there. We'll give you a taster of some of the tools that you could use today. As I deliver basic live support, having to do live demonstrations, so easier transition. Okay, so yeah, good to kind of, if you've got any tips and skills in any of that, stick that into the chat box as well, so we can understand what expertise and learns are you bringing to the party. What have you really kind of worked out over the last 18 months that works for you? Some really good stuff coming up here, guys. We're just going to give you a couple more seconds if there's anybody else that wants to add any other outputs for today. Breakout rooms in themselves, like I said, we're not going to go through that today, but there's certainly a couple of tips we can give you. Always allocate a team leader for your breakout rooms because they are absolute time burners. You can put people in there and suddenly you get a conversation going around, hi, how are you? Haven't seen you for ages. And before you know it, you lost the first 5 minutes of your exercise. So allocate a team leader, one for each breakout, get them to open a whiteboard, get some focus, get them straight into the session rather than that kind of initial chat. Convincing stakeholders and senior teams that virtual learning is just as effective as face-to-face. Yes, amen, absolutely is. I can see Hayley and Sam kind of punching the air with that one there, because you're absolutely right. And we firmly believe, like we've already said, that, you know, as long as it's designed and delivered in the right way, it is a different methodology. It's a different way of thinking about things, a different mindset. And we spend a lot of time on mindset in Dial Up Digital to really challenge you and get to the right space. We see acceleration of learning in the online space. You can cover more content quicker. People are moving things to the longer term memory a lot quicker, so they're able to recall a lot better as well. And the way that you design slides enables that recall, retention and transition into the workplace as well. So if you're looking at saving money, if you're looking at increasing productivity, and you're looking at increasing engagement, then absolutely online learning is for you. I think reminding people it's not e-learning. Absolutely. I put regular posts out to LinkedIn and it often says digital learning is not just about e-learning, because actually there's a place, particularly in that flipped learning model, where self-serve and e-learning, when it's done well, is good, but your consolidation, your skills, your questions, your social interaction, that's where your online virtual comes in. Fabulous stuff. We've got some really good ideas coming in here, and we're just going to give it a couple more seconds in case anybody else has typed away. If I haven't read your text out yet, it's probably, you might just need to click off and it will pop up so everybody can see that as well. But some really fabulous stuff in here, and we're definitely going to cover the majority of this today. As we do go through, make sure you do put any of the questions or queries into the chat. We will cover those for you as well. So let's think about where the journey has been and where we've come from for COVID-19. It's been an interesting year. I think it's kind of, as we've talked about, pumped kind of online learning to the top of the agenda, and actually it's interesting that a lot of people are still kind of struggling around interaction and engagement, because we were just plopped onto it March the 23rd or whatever it was, and actually we need to think about the skill set and the mindset that sits behind the online pedagogy. I love the fact that when you get a group of trainers in a room, they're always so helpful and interactive. That's what we're here for, absolutely. Thank you for that comment. But actually, you know, we know lockdown, a lot of people have struggled with lockdown, and it's even just been a win getting people onto Zoom or Teams or Adobe Connect or GoToWebinar or whatever your kind of platform of choice is. But I think what we've really recognised is that's just the starting point, is to get people online. The real work is done when we think about how we design our online learning, and that's really what we're going to think about for the rest of the session. So I'm now going to hand over to Sam, who's going to talk you through the roller coaster.
Yes, absolutely. It's not looking like it's going to end anytime soon, is it? You know, I think we were rather hoping, you know, sort of come February it was looking likely, come March it was looking likely, and it's just going on and on and on. But I think this is now where we've got the great opportunity to really build on what it is that we learned last year. You know, what are the things that we're starting to implement, but what also are the things that we're being challenged around as well, and what are we really struggling with? Has lockdown really been the catalyst for moving businesses online? Maybe it has. But for me, if we're going to do it, then let's do it really well. Like Erica's just been saying, you know, got a great opportunity now to actually really step it up a level and make it just as good, if not even better, than face-to-face. So yes, lockdown has pushed us over maybe to make that decision, but one thing I do want to know though, and this is my question to you guys, and you're gonna need your phones in just a moment. We know that we're all on a roller coaster. That's what I like to call it. 1 minute we're doing one thing, next minute we're doing something else. There seems to be an awful lot of, well, uncertainty. We're in that VUCA space, aren't we? That kind of volatile, uncertain, complex and ambiguous space. And we've been in that for quite some time now. However, how can we take control of our own destiny? Get ourselves off the roller coaster. It looks like a lot of fun, to be honest. However, as a business, how can we start to move us forwards and really make the best and the most out of the platforms that we now have become so familiar with? But a lot of the time we're finding a lot of people just simply don't know what they don't know. And a lot of the time they don't even realise and recognise some of the tools that are available. So let's get off the roller coaster and let's kind of find out a little bit more about you guys. You're going to need your phones now. How often do you hear that in a session? It's normally put your phones away, isn't it? Turn them off. You are going to need your phones now. And I'm going to move to something called Poll Everywhere. And this is the poll, and this is the question that we're going to answer in Poll Everywhere. So this is Poll Everywhere. And what I'd like to know is, when you've logged in just a second, what has been your greatest innovation in interactive online learning? Meetings, interviews, sessions, whatever you want to call it. So grab your phones and go to pollev.com. And then the username is 123peopledev000. You will then be greeted with this question. And what I would like you to do then is just respond just with one word at a time. Just one word at a time. What has been your greatest innovation in interactive online learning / meetings, get-together, whatever you want to call it? You can do it on a browser as well. You don't necessarily just have to do it on your phone. What was the code, please? It's right at the very top of your screen, and it's the username is 123, as in the numbers, people, and then just dev, D-E-V, and then it's 3 zeros. Just whether you've done it on a browser or not. And then that's the one. Thanks, Erica. If you're doing it on a browser, of course, as well. Superb. Then you'll be greeted with a little box with submit underneath. So pop in what is your greatest innovations. What have you been doing? How maybe have you sort of pushed the envelope a little bit? What have you found that maybe you can do to create that engagement and that interaction within this particular space? Got some great stuff coming up on here. Polls, so the more you put these words in, the bigger they're going to get. So got that polls, that creativity. Tell us in chat, how have you been creative? What specifically have you been doing? I'm really intrigued to know. Simulations, yeah, screens, like Erica said a few moments ago, using 2 screens is a game changer. Absolute game changer. Instead of trying to do everything on maybe one laptop or one screen. Yeah, design, breakouts, lovely modules, got Jamboard up there. Use Jamboard all the time. It's an awesome free app through Google. What else have we got? Got Short, Live. Oh, gracious me, keep moving. Blended, again, pop into chat. Yes, Jamboard, Erica's saying. Yes, that's what we like to hear. We use Jamboard all the time. Atia's saying creative games and activities for icebreakers and energizers. Superb. So I've got, what else? We've got LMS. Demonstrations, again, adapting. Quizzes. Brilliant stuff. So things like Poll Everywhere, for instance. There's a free version of Poll Everywhere. It's absolutely superb. You can do competitions, you can do word clouds like this, you can do polls, you can do quizzes. There's so many different things that you can do, and it's a free app. So there's loads of stuff out there to actually help us generate this creativity within our sessions, rather than just spend an hour being spoken out, which is really hard work when you're also the host. Super hard work. Puts a lot of pressure on that particular individual also as well. Feedback, superb. Intermediate, screens live again, branched. There's all sorts of different words. Probably a couple have gone together there, and it does split them when we do it separately. One of the biggest things though that I'm kind of seeing here is that polls, that blended, that creativity, which is absolutely superb. So thank you for that. And that will just keep building and keep building and keep building. And all I'm doing, I'm just sharing my screen, so you can actually see that build live in front of us as well. You can even share the screen with your learners if you like, if this is something that you want to share after the session, for instance, with whatever it is that you've been doing within the session. Yeah, absolutely. You can embed this into the slide as well. So I'm actually sharing the screen today, but you can also embed them into the slides. There's a great little additional point, which again we talk through within Dial Up Digital, where you can do add-ons into the PowerPoint slide itself, which again, I'm a real firm believer, as I know Erica and Hayley are, you get the design right, guess what? Half of the work's actually done for you within the session as well. Okay, I'm just going to kind of leave that to kind of tot away, so please feel free to continue to pop things in there if you so wish, if kind of things come into your mind as we move through the session as well. Okay, what we have found though is a lot of the shifts have kind of been very much around that engagement in the virtual space, and it's fantastic to sort of see there around that sort of creativity and, you know, the things that you guys have been doing as well, because one of the challenges that we tend to find is that engagement. Webinar to virtual classroom, or that more interactive session as well, and again, these are the types of things that we'll be able to do to really encourage that engagement, just like we were saying just a second ago. Also, that accelerated digitization, guess what? This is what we were saying before. All of a sudden, we've been kind of pushed almost into this environment when maybe we just simply weren't ready for it. And sometimes we're still finding individuals are still a little bit hesitant and not quite so tech savvy. And that's the support and that confidence that they need, not only to be the attendee, but also the host as well. Environment distractions, we're in our own homes. So how again can we create that environment to learn and get involved? And of course, that work-life balance, that tends to be something else that we tend to be finding quite a lot at the moment. A lot of people are working a lot more hours. So if we're going to be online, then at least let's make it fun. And of course, we know actually within this space to do all of that you've just been saying on that poll there, we've got to think slightly in a different way, slightly different skill set to that face-to-face environment. So I'm going to hand back over now, and we're going to have a look at the challenges of virtual training.
Brilliant, thanks Sam, and some really sort of insightful innovations there as well coming through, which is just brilliant. And to be honest, I'm not going to spend very long on challenges. It feels that we kind of know what they are, I think. So I'm going to go through this quite quickly. You know, we know what the challenges are in terms of the challenges that we're seeing in relation to Zoom. So I'd like you to think a bit deeper on this question actually, and identify what your challenges are. So rather than what are the challenges in general in terms of getting out there with virtual learning, what are your challenges? You know, what are you finding when you're running sessions, or when you've got a big session coming up? How are you feeling? How's your mindset? Are you in check? What's going on for you? So just reflect a little bit on your own challenges with virtual training, and that can be both attending sessions that you may have been on before and how that's gone for you, as well as things that you're finding when you're running sessions. But it'd be really good to understand some of the challenges that come up that will arise here, and I can see a load of things already coming up here. So your own energy levels, that is such a good point. It takes so much energy to deliver online because you're having to bring so much more of yourself to the session, and I think that I know it affects me, Erica and Sam, because it's, you know, we're all delivering all the time and we've really got to manage that. So definitely a really good one. I hate spending all day every day staring at a screen, Jackie. I hear you. You know, sometimes at the end of the day I just think, yes, I've been speaking to people all day, so I've had that that extroverted energy all day, and on top of that is the screen and what that does for us. So something to really be mindful of. What else? What other challenges? Think about, you know, what is it that we find challenging in the virtual environment, you know, especially if we've spent years in a face-to-face classroom. I think there's no good underplaying how different it is, both different for us as well as the things that we have to do. So what is it that's challenging? 3 adults all working from home, internet or noise, so exactly all those things happening around us, connectivity and confidence in the tech. A lack of confidence in the tech really leaks through, actually, in terms of your delivery and the confidence that your learners also have in you, and that's something that can have a bigger impact than we realize sometimes. So definitely something to get right. People aren't as relaxed. No, see, some people say to me that people are more relaxed, some people say they're less, and I think it depends a lot on the environment, doesn't it? And it's kind of, as trainers, what can we do to create a really psychologically safe space for people to learn and develop, and that's really important. Technology failing, you know, we know that's one. Attendees know how for online tech, that's an interesting one. So even in the online space, we're finding those experts in the room as well, which can be a challenge if we're not feeling like we're the experts. So I think that's a nice reflection there. Appealing to different learning styles is an interesting one as well, and I'm not going to go into that now, but we talk quite a lot about different learning styles in this space, and actually there's so much opportunity to really build on learning styles in the virtual classroom. It's quite exciting. Brilliant stuff. Learners at workstation during sessions with no camera access, so that webcam question. Some really good challenges coming up here. Not feeling like you're muting the same person over and over. Yeah, sometimes people, you click mute, they click unmute, and you're not quite sure where you are. Or a lot of people will have quite a lot of background noise maybe, and not always sense that. So all of these challenges, everything that is on this whiteboard, actually requires a skill set from us. How do we contract? How do we set boundaries in the online space? What do we need to say and do? And how do we prepare people and make people feel safe? And it's all things that we all consider face to face, but we don't always think about what needs to shift and change in the virtual classroom. Some of my best learning has been when having a coffee break chat with people, not in the classroom itself, Jackie. So again, a challenge there in building those coffee, kitchen conversations as well. So all of this is valid and it's out there, and we know it's happening. So think of these challenges that you can see on here now, and the challenges that we're facing with change with training at the moment. How are these challenges differing to the challenges we may have talked about 12 months ago? How are the challenges that we talk about today, how are they differing to the challenges that we may have been talking about 12 months ago? A lot of the challenges we talk about now are that conversion into the virtual space. What kind of things challenged us before? Absolutely, Erica. I love what Sam's put there. Some people can be too relaxed. Yeah, depends what they've got. They might put a shirt on their top half, but then they turn up in their joggers, and then it all goes Pete Tong from there. Okay, so think about that. And we don't need to go into any great depth for that, but think about what is it that's different to 12 months ago, and just reflect on that for a minute. Now Sam's very quickly going to take you through some slide design shortly before we introduce you to the program. A lot is the same, but it's more apparent. That's a very insightful comment there as well. Okay, good. I like the way we're getting into the annotate as well. Nicely done there. Okay, brilliant. So Sam, I'm going to pass over to you. I'm conscious of time. I know we've only got these guys in here for an hour, so over to you, and then we'll talk you through the program a bit more.
Absolutely, that's an interesting point. Actually, it's come up onto the board there. Smaller concentration spans. Yeah. However, I think we tend to just be sitting here, don't we, for hours on end, and then, like we've already said, we're shattered at the end of the day as well. But yeah, it's breaking it down. But actually, it's keeping people moving and keeping them thinking as well, which is one of the most important things. So thank you for that, Hayley. Some really, really great points there. Okay, so one of the things that I kind of mentioned just a few moments ago was about the design. And I've worked with many organisations down the years in L&D where I think it would be fair to say, especially when they started to move into this space, face-to-face content, let's just pick it up, drop it into the online space, it'll be fine. What's the worst that can happen? So what I'd like to share with you is there's some little slides on the board now in front of us. And I'd like you to use your stamp tool now. How many of these slide design methods can you check off that you see in your online sessions? How many of these can you check off? So blocks of text, lots of text, for instance, maybe quite complex charts, maybe different font types all over the show, bullet points galore, overstretched images, pixelated maybe as well, and then that good old template. It's kind of just slung in the corner for good measure, of course. So let's see what we're getting here. So getting ticks on complex charts, overstretched images, bullet points, yes, so a lot of text. And one of the things that we have a look at in Dial Up Digital is actually, how well does this help our learners, people in the meetings or whatever it is that we're doing, how well does that help those individuals retain that information for afterwards when they go back to work or do whatever it is that they need to do differently after that meeting or training session, for instance. And this is one of the principles that we really look at quite closely within the session on the design, because if we get the design right, actually a lot of it kind of follows, and that principal learning styles, for instance, maybe even fatigue of the host and of the attendees, etc. How does that alter it and how does that change it? And especially, like we've said there, that retention of information. So this is again something else that we really concentrate on quite strongly within that workshop. Real passion of mine as well in regards to how slides are, of course, constructed as well. What have you noticed though that's different maybe about our slides today? What have you already noticed? Pop that into chat. What's the difference? Interactive, Angela's saying, yeah. Light on text, Darren's saying. Less is more, Maxine. Couldn't have said it better myself. Alison, not many of them. Now, I'll come back to that in just a second. Joe's saying there, no words, very little and interactive, 6x6 rule, definitely. So we want to keep it as simple as possible. Like you said, that kind of rule of 6, but actually we'll probably use far less than that. At least 40% blank space. There's an awful lot of blank space, but there's also been quite a lot of images as well. And this is something else that we very much concentrate on. So if I just clear those, because I think there's a few ticks still on that board. What would be the impact for you within your businesses and for you personally if you get this right in this space? What's the impact for you? Again, pop that into chat for me. What if you get this right? Alison's saying impact for me, greater confidence, superb. So rather than get up in the morning and be a little bit anxious, oh my God, I've got another session today, how am I going to manage? What if something goes wrong? So we look at not only the tech, we look at the design, we look at the facilitation, we look at a whole suite of skills within the programme. Joe's saying there, known for creating meaningful events. Oh, love that. You're leaving a legacy there, Joe. That's awesome. Absolutely. That kind of reputation that you're building for yourself as well. Superb. Darren's saying there, delivery pace dictated by you and not the speed of the people that read. Lovely. Absolutely. And there's a reason as to why we shouldn't use much text. I love Hayley's comment there. Kate's saying that engagement with the business, superb, Mark, knowing that you're hitting the mark, like what you did there, Mark. Adi's saying there, simplicity of content gets the message across, no confusion, and gets the participant to focus on what you're aiming at. Absolutely. And Maxine's saying, last but not least, for me, to buy in care industry and not always have to have face-to-face and realise that this type of training is just as good, or in my opinion, better for some subjects. Hallelujah, Maxine. I could not have said that better myself. I'm going to hand back over now to Erica to just tell you a little bit more, and thank you very, very much for sort of sharing that. Just tell you a little bit more about our Dial Up Digital programme.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks, Hayley. Yeah, so we're really, really proud of Dial Up Digital. This is, I guess, a culmination of all three of our experience in the online L&D arena, but also, you know, we very much focus in the leading edge of the online space at the moment. We write articles and blogs. We work with Training, Zone magazine. There's lots of stuff that we do so we're also learning from other thought leaders in this space as well. And this is what we've done. We've brought all of this together for our Dial Up Digital program. So this is what I'm going to tell you a little bit more on now. So what is Dial Up Digital? Well, we're really excited to bring this to you. It's an 18-hour accredited workshop. We run it over 4 sessions, and we really immerse you into every aspect of the virtual live online space in a really psychologically safe way. We give you opportunities which are quite scenario based to practice different skill sets, different toolkits, and actually have a look at holding up the mirror to see what are our behaviors when we're in our online space, because we are the influencer to our learners as a facilitator. You know, we are the people managing the tech at the same time as facilitating, presenting, kind of queries, challenging, all of these things that you would do in the in-person space, but you've got that what I call double brain thinking happening at the same time as well. We can deliver it on any platform. We're on Zoom today. We're getting requests for the a couple of sessions later on the year to run on Teams. And we're hearing a lot more about Teams actually in 2021. I don't know if you guys are as well, but actually people are realizing that just kind of the lift and drop into Microsoft Teams. And yes, we've got breakout rooms there now as well, but that's just not enough. So we can run the program on any platform, particularly if it's an in-house program, but we do have open course dates running throughout 2021. We've got our February cohort starting tomorrow, so that's really exciting, and we do have some spaces available on our March cohort as well. So what we're going to do shortly is just share that brochure into the chat as well for you to download, so that will give you a lot more information in regards to the program as well. I think this is a fabulous interactive opportunity. So we're bringing this to you for £995 plus VAT per person. That's 18 hours of accredited best practice online for just under £1,000. We think that's a really, really good investment. And actually the guys that have already been through the pilot program have given us some fantastic feedback that it's some of the best investment they've made in their own personal development in the L&D space as well. So that's really, really exciting. So let's talk about the objectives for the program. What are you going to get out of it? So we've kind of talked a lot about all this already. We really spend a significant amount of time thinking about mindset and skill set. And actually, what does things like that self-talk do for your credibility when you're running sessions? What happens when you really start to hold up the mirror and understand what's going on for you? So this isn't just about skills. This is really delving into what's happening for the facilitator during the online session. We talk about skills, knowledge and behaviours. So it's not just skills, it's the deeper piece as well. And we're really kind of benchmarking that exceptional online facilitation in the design and the delivery of this. The online influence that we've talked about already, it's about that psychological safety, creating that online environment for learning. So learners actually go away from the session thinking that's exactly what I needed. I'm going to put that into practice. It was a fantastic session. I feel really engaged. I can recall the information that we were working through rather than just passively sitting there listening to someone talk and then maybe going to breakouts. Competence and confidence is an absolute winner in this space. So we really work closely with you to help you move up that scale. And the entry point can be at any space. So it might be that you have only just started in the online space and you're quite fearful or quite anxious in running online sessions, or actually you've been doing it for quite a while, but you know there's continuous professional development out there as well, which is exactly what this program will also provide you as well. It's all about mastery as well. You know, we really get you working in it. So what's in it for me there is really around, you know, mastering the online space as the softer skills, should we say, the facilitation skills, but really being super, super confident with your platform skills as well. So what you come away with is a online accredited CPD certificate from the CPD Standards Office. This is an accredited program recognised for the 18 hours, and we also have the certification with the CPD points as well. So you get a recognised certificate to say that you've attended that program. You also get some written feedback which is specific just for you, so what went well and what could be even better next time, and so you get that report which is yours to take away and work on going forwards. You will have practical scenario based challenges, so when you're in the session we will challenge you with things that could happen in the session, behaviors that you might see from learners, and how do you deal with that in the chosen platform that you're using. And that's where we really start to move into that tech mastery space. And of course you get your digital badges as well. So the 3 badges you can see on the screen there, the accredited CPD badge from CPD Standards. I've dialed up my digital design, and I've dialed up my digital delivery as well. I can see there's some good questions coming into the chat, and Hayley's fielding away. But thanks, guys. Keep bringing in your questions. Keep popping them in the chat. We're gonna, if we haven't shared the brochure already, we're gonna share that. If we have shared it, can we share it again? Do download that into the chat. If you're struggling downloading the chat because of firewalls, just let us know and we can drop you an email with the brochure as well. But this is a real game changer. Great question, Alison. We try to get no more than 8 into a cohort, because that really gives everybody enough time and space to bring their challenges and get that tailored support, but also work with a group of individuals and build that camaraderie and that confidence as that cohort as well. Fabulous. Some good questions coming in here. Thank you, guys. So again, any questions that you have, do pop it into the chat, and I'm going to hand over to Sam and Hayley just to wrap up the end of the session. Hayley, if I just hand over to you, and then I can ping over the brochure into the chat as well.
No problem. Sorry, Erica, I just popped you a note because I've got a few different versions there, so I just wanted to make sure that these guys get the right one.
Yeah.
Brilliant stuff. So yeah, that brings us almost to the end of our session, guys. We've only got 5 minutes left. So what we'd like to do, keep those questions coming, and we'll keep those going in the background there. But also, it would be good to understand kind of what your biggest insight's been today, I suppose, because we've introduced you to some. I mean, we've literally scratched the surface today, as you can well imagine. But we've combined, as we say, some of our thinking and thoughts to be able to show today some of the things that you can do. So, just from the session today, let us know what your biggest insight has been. What's been a takeaway for you just in the last hour? And we hope you found it a valuable use of an hour of your time, because we know that some of these things sometimes might not be. So hopefully you have found it a valuable use of time, and it'd be good to understand exactly what you've got from it, what you've gained from it. And you can grab your annotation tools again, just have a little play around there on the screen with the annotation. Maxine, I can see you stamping away on there as well. Or let us know in the chat if it's easier for you, whichever you prefer. Use of third-party apps within the session, yes. So again, we've introduced you to a couple of little tasters today, but there are so many different apps. And I think a real key thing there is, and actually Erica and Sam may agree here, is it's not so much about being able to use the app, it's actually identifying and making sure that you're choosing the right app for the right purpose as well. I think sometimes we can end up using a lot of different things without always thinking about what we're using them for. How quickly a session could be engaging. Yes, that's always a good outcome for us when we know that you've come in and found it engaging. It's all about engagement, getting people in from the beginning, getting people engaged from the start. Absolutely. The ideas at the start for engagement has been a big insight there as well. Absolutely. I'm loving this, Katie. Keen to get to grips with being impactful for a busy and tech-tired audience. I think a lot of people are feeling that at the moment. Is people are busy, they're tired of back-to-back meetings. What can I do for them to come into this and feel like it's different, and feel like they want to be here, they're engaged, and their brains are working differently? I think that's a really good point there. Brilliant. Okay, keep those coming, guys. If there's any other questions, just let us know in the chat. I can see Erica's popped her email in there as well. Sam and I will do the same. We all work in collaboration on this program, guys, so you can contact any one of us to be able to get more information, and that's no problem at all. We're also going to share with you our websites very shortly. So you'll be able to access our websites through the QR codes that will appear on the screen. So if you want to do a little bit more research and have a little bit of a look into those, you can access those on the screen as well. And I can see a question mark said, how do you balance time to use tech like apps versus what you get from it? It took me a while to work out the poll thing and I wasn't listening effectively at this time. Yeah, so we've worked at pace here today, and we are aware of that. So we want to be able to introduce people to things, but what we haven't done in this hour is taken the time that we might spend with a group of learners, especially where we're using apps repeatedly, to be able to get to grips with it. What I can say though, and with the technology, is I've had some audiences come in at the beginning who swears to me that they haven't got a clue what they're doing, and because of the way that we deliver and the way that we repeat the skills consistently throughout the program with instruction, by the end of a session most people have absolutely smashed it and they're really confident with it. So I think it's about as much about supporting your learners through that experience as much as it is getting to grips with it yourself. But I think it's a good point, Mark, and how we apply that to learning would be something that we would look at obviously in the wider program. Great stuff. Thank you. And I can see loads of people there, lots of emails, lots of add us on LinkedIn, do connect with us. We are constantly sharing hints, tips and tricks all over our LinkedIn pages and YouTube channels, etc. So yeah, do connect with us. We hope you've got a lot from the session. I'll just pass over, make sure Erica and Sam haven't got anything else in to add, but it's a big thank you from me and I hope you've enjoyed the last hour, and thanks for your questions as well.
Yeah, thank you guys. Really, really enjoyed that. Very, very insightful. Thank you for joining.
Yep, and we'll leave you with our video again now. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Hi, my name's Beth Rowlands. I'm Head of Talent and Skills for Fujitsu in the UK. Just wanted to say a few words really about digital delivery and the importance that it plays in our business, and certainly how we deliver any training interventions or any people interventions really. We've been delivering everything digitally really since the start of lockdown. And what we've learned very quickly is there is a very unique set of skills that you need to really make your digital delivery a truly engaging experience. I guess at the start we kind of thought, well, there can't be that much you need to know, right, about Zoom. You can learn as you go, you can pick the skills up over time, and that's probably true. However, if you really want to accelerate your learning and you want to make the most of Zoom or Teams or all the plethora of different tools that are available to you, and really hone your craft, then I would really suggest investing in some personal development for yourself. As I now regularly buy in this market, and I'm looking for trainers that can deliver superbly and get a superbly engaging experience really. And I think I've got, as a buyer, a bit savvier as kind of time has gone on, and really I'm clear now on what I'm looking for. So I think it's super important to spend some time on your own personal investment and in upping your game in how you can take the day-to-day training that you deliver and really make it fit for purpose via an online environment, whichever one you happen to choose.
So right at the beginning of lockdown, we were facing a dilemma. One of our most valued clients had asked us to provide them with a suite of virtual learning materials to support their staff through the whole lockdown experience. I've never trained in a virtual classroom environment, nor had anyone else in our organisation, and never even been on a webinar as a speaker. So this was a really scary experience, but we didn't want to let our client down. So we came across this virtual skills program and we ran it for our organisation, and it gave us not only the confidence but also the skills to translate our virtual or into a virtual learning process all of the face-to-face materials that we've been so far running up until then. In terms of the impact on our business, well, we've kept going all the way through lockdown. We haven't needed to furlough any of our team, and we've not only been able to satisfy that client's demands, we've been able to also win new work, and we turned our offering from a face-to-face offering into a virtual learning offering, expanding our repertoire and really enjoying it as well. So the impact's been fantastic.
lockdown started back in March this year, it was a really interesting challenge to start thinking about how I'm going to pivot my business, because one of the biggest challenges, of course, is the fact that we were so restricted in what we could do. So having more impact and being able to still support my clients was absolutely paramount to me. I've had my business for 10 years and always done a lot of my work through my coaching, mentoring and leadership programs has been done face-to-face, like most of us. And this for me was a massive departure to change it all. So one of the big areas for me was really important for me was to invest in myself and start learning about how to use virtual technology and how to use Zoom, Teams and so on to be able to do that. I've loosely used Teams and Skype before, but never ever used Zoom before. So the impact that's had has been absolutely massive and all positive. And I feel we've really got to climb mountains this year to pivot businesses and become more agile and innovative about the way we deliver things. So understanding how to use it and the functionality that sits there and all those opportunities has just been absolutely amazing. And I've really enjoyed learning about it. The impact's been just phenomenal for me. And it's really, I feel like it's really setting my business up to take it forward into 2021 and beyond. And it's opened up my world. The physical world's changed, but my global reach now is just huge. So I'm really thankful that I've had that opportunity to be able to really get to grips with how to use all this virtual technology. So it's been excellent. That's Angie, English of Business.